you know, you can do it as a percent box, or you could just say, how many girls are there? 15 out of, how many total kids in the class? 27 is what percent? 15/27 is what number over 100? And I thought I said reduce this. You get 5 over 9. So you end up with 9 times n equals 5 times 100, which is 500. You need to divide by 9. And 9 goes into 500. 55 and 5/9% times or times. I'm not sure, maybe I told you something else, but I do remember doing this with a few people there. Question on this one, Kelsey? Huh? Well, I'm gonna go look and see what most people missed, and I think we're gonna go shoot to the end here, because I see a lot of red on problem number 17. 16 and 17, let's do those first. Nobody must have looked at the thing yesterday. Number 16 and 17. Number 16. Well, let's do 17 since it's sitting right here. Alright, children, here's what the deal is with this. 3x negative 1y x squared plus 2xy. The first thing you have to do is simplify that. What happens when you simplify those? You add their exponents together. You put the x with the x. A 2 and a negative 1 put together is just a regular x, x to the first. Y is already by itself. So these two are like terms. They have the exact same letters to the exact same exponents. What is 3xy's plus another 2xy's? For a total of 5xy's. They don't change to x squareds or anything. They're just xy's. The answer is 5xy's. Okay, they don't change one way or another. Problem number 16. Please. Oh, this one here. Come on, children. This shouldn't be that bad. 3x plus 7 equals x plus 15. Maybe I read the wrong answer. How do you solve that? The first thing you look at is you try to simplify both sides of the equal sides. Are there any terms that you can combine on either side? No. So we go right to, now we need to move all the x's to one side, all the numbers to the other side by adding or subtracting them over. I need to move this x to this side by subtracting it over. X minus x goes away. 3x minus x is 2x. Move this 7 to the other side by doing the opposite, which is subtracting 7. Subtract 7 from 15, you get 8. And then you get x by itself, the opposite of multiplication, which is division. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now tell me where you went wrong there. And I would assume that'd be my grades.
I selected like 2.
But you can't put this term with that term because they're not on the same side. Okay, that's really what you did when you put the subtracted the x over there. And this one is the same exact problem. So if you got this one wrong, I'm assuming you probably got this one wrong. You just need to do the distributive property. 2x plus 4 equals x minus 9. Same routine. Move your x over by subtracting. Move your x over. You get x. Subtract 4. Subtract 4. Oh, I put a 3 there. What is negative 9 minus 4? Negative 13. Why isn't it positive? Don't you negatives make a positive? Only when you multiply, not when you add or subtract. What else seems like we missed the most of? Hold on, don't let me do it because I want to think about problem 14. Yes. Let's see problem 14. Problem 14. What is the perimeter or base of the prism? Apparently the prism is right here. Ah, here's a good question. Somebody asked me this yesterday here, people. You've got a triangular, what is that? Prism, children. Looks like this. Okay, here is where you probably went wrong. 8, 6, and 12. The base of a shape is not what it's sitting on, always. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. The base of that shape is not a rectangle. You have to turn your minds way back till I gave you the loaf of bread theory. When you see a prism like this and you want to find out what its base is, you ask yourself, well, if that's a loaf of bread, and I'm cutting it into slices, and those slices need to look exactly alike, how would I cut it? Well, if I cut it with this being the base, that rectangle, as I go up, I'm gonna keep getting smaller little rectangles till I get up here where I have no rectangle hardly at all. I can't cut it that way. You need to cut this like this so that you get this shape right here is your base. The triangle is a base. This is a triangular prism. That's the shape. That is the base. So if you're looking for the perimeter of that base, you have to add 8 plus 6 plus this hypotenuse, which you don't know, in which case you panic and jump ship, or you say, oh, it's a right triangle, so hopefully I can use the Pythagorean theorem and use a triple. Can you? Well, there is no 6, 8 one, but again, if you think of this in proportions and ratios, cut them both in half. This is a 3 and that's a 4. Is there a 3, 4? Yeah, there's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. But 5's not the answer because that's half of what it should be. That hypotenuse is 10. So you add the 10 plus the 8 plus the 6, and that's where the 24 came from. Just like that. Is it all coming back to you, kids? This is to jog your memory. See, this is our second time through, and it's tough. It's not easy math. I'm sure there's fourth graders doing it somewhere, but not here. And the same thing with the volume, people. You should have written down that the volume of a prism is the area of the base times its height. This is a whole long chapter. We spent a lot of time on this. And again, you have to know what the base is, which is this. The base is the triangle. What's the area of this triangle? 6 times 8 is? Cut in half because it's a triangle. Kind of giving you the quick version here. Now the question is, what is the height, though? Height is not 8. The height of the triangle is 8. The height of the whole shape, if you flip it and put it on its base, how tall will it stand? That's the question you have to ask. So you got to turn this, put it on the triangle, and how tall will it be, Grace?
12.
Yeah. So that's where 24 times 12, which is what, 48, 24, what? 520 something, what? Is it 288? Yeah. That's 2 rows. Inches cubed. That's where that comes from there. By the way, you could have gone the last year's. You should watch it. You should have watched it. Maybe that's what it was break time.
I watched
I
it.
probably got it wrong yesterday. Let me look again. Where else are we at here? Where do you see a lot of red? 14 we did. 13 did we do? Yeah, we just did 13. 12 looks like everybody nailed. 11. Maybe 10 looks like we got 9. So.
He did it with us.
Did I do 4? 3 and 4? Let's look at 3 and 4 real quick, and then I'll ask you for your input on such things. Let's start with number 4. Okay. Here's the deal with this. Remember I said this. In order to do this, this will just be on a number line. This has 2 variables. It's going to be on a coordinate graph because you need both x and y's. This one just has an x, so it's just going to end up being a number line that you figure out where the thing is. How do I solve this for x? If it was an equation that said minus 2x equals 4, I would, how do I get the x by itself? I have to divide. Thank you very much. I divide. Here's the kicker on this, children, and you'll remember this too after I tell you. Anytime you multiply or divide the x by a negative number with an inequality with a sign like that, you have changed this to its opposite, you need to change the sign to its opposite, and that changes to its opposite as well. So when you divide by -2, this becomes positive, that's good. This becomes a -2 over there, but this sign doesn't stay less than, it switches to its opposite and becomes greater than. If this would have been a +2, none of that would have happened, the sign would have stayed the same. But if the x is a negative, you change it to its opposite, change it to its opposite, it changes to its opposite. So at -2, you have an open circle going like this. These are all little notes you should be jotting down to yourself on tomorrow's test because you'll be allowed to write them. But as the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Sketching the graph of this. Y equals mx plus b. Did I do this for you already? Yeah. Crosses the y-axis at +3. That's what the b is. 1, 2, 3. Has a slope of negative 1. Or negative 1 over 1, because slope is better in a fraction form. That means it goes up or down 1 over 1. So your choice is this, let's go down 1. I can go down 1 over 1 this way, or down 1 over 1 this way. How do I know which one of those two dots I pick? Eli? It has to go downhill from left to right. It has to be a negative slope, so I have to pick that one. Has to go downhill, negative slope. Question number 9, most of you got, because that would surprise me. I know we need to look up on that. Let's do that real fast here. Question number 9, children, is this. Here's the deal, and again, anytime you do conversions, it's all about the labels, almost more than the numbers. $18 per square yard. $18 per square yard. Square yard, 2 yards times themselves. I'm supposed to change that into feet. In order to do that, I need 2 unit multipliers because there's 2 yards down here. This first one crosses off with the first yard. I'm sorry, where this all came from. The second one crosses off with the second yard. What am I converting it into? Feet. And you need to know how many feet are in the yard, or yard in the feet. There are, Smith, how many feet in the yard? Not 1, not 2, but 3. 3 feet in every yard. My labels yards cross off. I end up with 18 divided by 3 divided by 3, which is 18 divided by 9. You get 2 on the top, feet squared on the bottom. $2 per square foot on the bottom. It's all about the labels. It's like the label baby 5,000. Forging ahead. Unfortunately, we can't know this. Other ones you want me to go over? Yeah? 19 and 20. 19 and 20, my 2 favorite problems in all the world. The deal with 19 and 20 is you just have to understand that there's 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour, not 10. So when you add this together like you normally could, this becomes 75 seconds. But we don't ever say 75 seconds usually. We have to take away 60 seconds for 1 minute. So you put your 1 minute over there, take 60 away from that 75, you're left with 15 seconds. You add 20 plus 45 plus the 1 ends up being, what, 66 minutes. But again, you take an hour's worth of minutes out of that. That leaves you with 6 minutes, and you put the 1 hour over there. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4 hours. So you have 4 hours, 6 minutes, 15 seconds. Question on that one?
No.
And then same thing for this one. When you borrow, because you can't take 6 away from 2, you have to take a foot away. But that's not 10 inches. A foot is 12 inches, so you have to add 12 to the 2 to make it 14 inches. 6 from 14 gives you 8 inches here. Can't take a foot away from no feet, so you have to borrow from the 3 yards, and there's only 2 yards left. There are how many feet in a yard? 3. So that becomes 3 feet. 1 from 3 is 2 feet, and then 1 yard from 2 yards is 1 yard. And in the metric system, we don't have those issues because everything in the metric system is times, and you could just do it pretty much like that. Smith?
Number
18?
yeah.
18. How do you simplify square roots? You need to prime factorize them. Okay, so you could multiply those together and get the square root of 72, but you're going to end up just breaking 72 apart again anyway, so let's do it like this. The square root of 72 breaks into the square root of 9 times the square root of 8, correct? Square root of 9 is the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. Square root of 8 is 2 times 4. And 4 breaks down into the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. So when you prime factorize the square root of 72, what do you end up with? The square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. That's 1, 2, 3 square roots of 2. And the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. What do I do with duplicate square roots? What don't you get there? Why didn't I put the 4 down? Are you asking me that? Because it's split the 3. Anytime you have doubles of square roots, they cross off and give you just the normal number, so 2 square roots of 2 cross off to give you a normal 2. 2 square roots of 3 cross off to give you a normal 3. That one didn't cross off, so it stays the square root of 2, and you just remultiply the two numbers that ended up being normal, so you end up with 6 times the square root of 2. Unfortunately, children, I think we've got to go here. Grace, what was your question?
I didn't understand
Number who?
one.
Number 1. And here's the key to number 1, Grace. Look at what it asks you for. The car averaged how many miles per gallon? Miles, 176 miles per 6.4 gallons. And you just need to divide that out, and it will be in how many miles per 1 gallon. Divide 6 into 176. And you're home free.